wow. For a second, they actually got me. I thought Humberto was going to win that one. Okay. All right. So actually, on the whole card, let's just try to go through it and see kind of prediction wise
Mhm.
what we think. We are the Sheamus versus Shorty G thing already happened. Right now, we are on match 2 of the night because we're watching the pre-show. Sheamus versus Shorty G was pretty much as boring as I thought it would be.
Well, except for that massive blood draw from Shorty G's ear that popped from the cauliflower.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, just the Shorty G thing. Like, who cares?
Well, they have this incredible talent that they've turned into Shorty G's, so
Yeah.
I feel like they've reaped what they've sowed, so to speak.
Unless there's some massive long-term play, because like, on what planet does Shorty G make any sense?
Vince,
Like, it's inherently a gimmick to make them terrible. Like, did he do something wrong to someone?
I mean, potentially. The one thought I had, which I think is interesting, is at times I've heard that like it hurts you to be super nice backstage, and if anything, I think that's what he's done. Is that he's just too clean cut, and they're like, okay, yeah, he doesn't have a killer instinct, and it's just I don't know. It bothers me because I really like Chad Gable.
He's cool. I mean, I'm not in love with him, but I know he's better than this.
Yes,
And that's what gets me. And I love I know I texted you this. I love the Cultaholics idea where like I
the
just hope that Sheamus,
CTE, yeah.
I hope Sheamus Brogue kicks him so hard that Shorty G won't remember, and he's just gonna think he's like, instead of being a Chihuahua, he's a pit bull. So it's gonna start his big push for some kind of title, like an IC title or something.
Well, that was so. One of the other things I recorded for us was I pitched that Shorty G should be in or the Rumble at number 2, and so like you have Brock mocking him, and then they put on 2 minutes of an all-out clinic where you're just like, damn, that dude is awesome, and hopefully that
Cool.
helps get him past it. But I don't see it. So
I don't see it either, because to be honest, the reason why I don't want to is I just think there'd be a lot cooler ways you could probably do something with the Brock coming in at number 1 spot.
Well, I think that they're going to get their money's worth out of it. So I think like the first 15 guys will all have something. Well, maybe not all 15, but that through those numbers, you'll see like people who have a history with him, where we'll go right through. Like I think we'll see Matt Riddle and him interact at some point. So
that'd be cool. Because that was actually what you just said about Shorty G was also suggested by one of the podcasts. So like we have Matt Riddle come in and they just basically do all this UFC stuff to each other for a couple minutes. But like a part of me though, like kind of wants to see Brock Lesnar just lay waste to people at first, and then that like one big guy that kind of comes in and has them actually have to wait the full, minute and a half or whatever.
Well, whatever they're going to do, because they change it every year. So
yeah, whatever time frame they say at least. Because there's some guys I just would be really excited for them to get. Like I could see like him throwing out some random people and Otis coming in, and they're like, oh well, he's a big guy, so this will be hard for him, and then I
uses him as a toothpick essentially.
Essentially, yeah. Like, maybe like Otis tries to run him over and he does the worm or something, but then Brock just tosses him out somewhat effortlessly. Like, because at this point, all he's got is the Mandy Rose thing, right? The heavy machinery.
Well, I think he's going to help her in the women's Royal Rumble, so.
Probably. I would imagine. Which, by the way, he is killing it, though. I mean, if you got to have a comedy bit, he's fun.
He understands it.
Absolutely. And it sounds like that's just who he is. For some of the shooter interviews I've listened to, they're like, to be honest, Otis is Otis. It kind of works for him, his whole gimmick, because behind the scenes, if you go to a bar, he would have zero problem doing the exact same kind of thing. So I appreciate that. But I guess, since we're talking about the men's rumble, we might as well just dive into the men's rumble. Maybe because actually, speaking of that, I know it's weird placement on this podcast for at least this episode. It's kind of curious how they're going to place it on the show. I mean, I'd be curious if they would put one of these rumbles to either start it or be the second match. Or
I think one of them will start it. I think it'll probably be the women, and it's purely because of Roman Reigns versus
Corbin.
Yeah, just because I think that match has to conclude before the Rumble happens. I think it gives them the opportunity to have Corbin get a win, and then Roman goes on to win it, even though I'm not necessarily a huge fan of them doing that.
That's just how it would make it feasible and a good story.
Yeah.
And I fully agree with that. The idea that if, Corbin gets his win, which I do, just kind of like a side split, I actually think Corbin is going to win tonight.
Oh yeah. It's like
Especially
the
because
perfect thing because there's still like 3 months before Mania, so you get a mini feud to get concluded with Roman Reigns, and then you can kind of build to probably the Fiend, but let him choose whoever he's going to go face.
Yeah.
I will tell you the one thing that I want them to do this year in the Rumble, and they may have already missed the boat on this, is every year there's a handful of guys who are in it that really like nobody thinks is going to win it. And I know that some of the fun part of the Rumble is like anybody can win it, yay! But like, no, I love the Usos as a tag team, but Jimmy is not going to WrestleMania. So
no,
whatever. And so what I want them to do is either put people in there who legitimately have a chance to win, and I think that there's 10 to 15 people who like either have won in the past or could conceivably be considered. And then if they're going to put somebody else in there, they should only be in there if it's going to further some storyline. So if they're not involved or they're not something that's going to come out of it, don't put them in because this is your spotlight opportunity.
Absolutely, because there's, I'm just like looking at the list right now, and other than the obvious people, so I'm going to take out people like Roman, Lesnar, AJ. I'll even throw in Orton just because he's been around for so long. Seth Rollins. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. Other than those people, there's a couple people that you could use to really highlight in a big way. Mm-hmm. And the ones I would probably put in to that category, I don't think he will be, but well, first of all, obvious. My selection for the winner of this whole thing is Drew McIntyre. So that's one you can like catapult him to be top face eventually. Ricochet, Aleister Black, they've been building him up pretty huge, but not against anyone of consequence. Kevin Owens probably doesn't count, but another one they should probably reintroduce in a big way that I could see lasting for a long time is Johnny Morrison.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to have... Well, let me pull this up. So I'm pulling up the graphic, and in particular, what I'm looking for is people who've won the Rumble before, who have been world champions. So you got Shinsuke, you got AJ, Roman, Brock, I guess Bobby Lashley, but that was a long-ass time ago. Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, and you could say Drew because of the NXT title, but at that point it wasn't really a third brand, so no. And then everybody else is kind of like, well, we'll see what comes of this.
Yeah. I mean, actually, a guy who also could be given a serious spotlight, or at least the Royal Rumble could be used as that, is guy's gotten a little steam lately, is Buddy Murphy. Because he's better than most of his spot has been ever since he really was just kind of in there with the cruiserweights.
Well, that's the one thing I'm excited about with him is that they fight. Like, even though I'm not a fan of the whole AOP Seth Rollins faction, the fact that he's going to get some shine from it is super useful. And that's actually interesting. Seth Rollins isn't on the graphic I'm looking at, but he's another one, obviously.
Well, he's on the one that I'm looking at here.
Yeah. And Kofi, too.
Yeah, Kofi's on it as well, which I would love the idea of Kofi. Well, we all know Kofi's going to be in there anyway. Yeah. Because, you always get a Kofi spot. I love the idea of Kofi being 2 against Lesnar because he lost the title. He never got another shot.
Yeah.
That would be kind of fun, actually. But I don't know if people will remember that.
It's all about how they set. Like, so I would have him do a promo where he gets really fiery about the fact that everybody's forgotten about the fact that he went to WrestleMania and stole the show last year. Mm-hmm. Because I think his story is a compelling one. I know you picked Drew Galloway. My pick is McIntyre. Yeah, I was using his indie name. God,
you're so indie.
I know. I liked him when he was cool, though. But my pick, what I want is The Undertaker to win. What I think is going to happen is Roman Reigns.
I think you're nuts when you bring up the Undertaker. Undertaker's not even on my radar to be in this match. But
Well,
Taker coming in for Brock at 2 would be fun.
agreed. Well, this is my pitch. You've already heard it, but you have the Undertaker win the Royal Rumble. One of the deals that has been around this whole Fiend run is that everybody he sets his sights on changes. And so to me, you have the Fiend retire the Undertaker at WrestleMania, and that is the sign of the retirement. And so he changes from the dead man to just a dude, Mark Calloway, and then he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame the next year. I know that you hate this, and we got into a deep conversation about linen. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, because I got to tell you, Puffin, I think it's awful. Um, why would you ever want the Undertaker to just turn into Mark Calloway?
Because
That's a
at some
terrible
point he's
idea.
got to be done wrestling.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does, dude.
Why?
His own safety and mortality.
Yeah, okay, we don't care about that. Like, you don't even have to have him actually wrestle. You just need to just never have him actually retire and have, like, every once in a while, have him just be like a specter in the rafters or something. Like, you don't need him to go away. He doesn't have to do anything.
I think he does. Like at some point, it becomes a caricature. Let him walk away the way he wants to by putting somebody over. You ordain the next kind of spooky character, and then like you can still bring him back. I mean, there's plenty of people they retire who are gimmicks who then kind of come back as their gimmick periodically.
But then that's not really retirement, though.
Yes, it is, dude.
Not really, no.
Uh,
If he's just Mark Calloway, then he can't come back as the character.
I don't think I agree with you on that. Like, I'm not saying that they would push that he's just Mark Calloway, but what I'm saying is that that's the end of the true Undertaker run. Like, and then, you know, when Saudi Arabia calls in 2 years, you can bring him back if you need to, but at this point, it's really the end of the decade of whatever they want to call it, dominance or destruction or darkness or whatever.
But like they've done that before. Like like this whole like the whole retirement thing. If they're not really going to be retired, I don't even see what the point is.
I'm
And I
not
think
saying that
Undertaker
I
is like the
want
last
them to bring
character you
him
could do that with.
back, but I don't think that he should be around much. And like this is not about disrespect. He's given us a lifetime of memories, but I legitimately worry about him hurting himself in the ring at this point, and I just
Oh,
don't
I
want to
feel
see
terrible
it.
about it.
To me, it's like the same thing as like with Edge. Like, would I love it if Edge is ready to go, medically cleared and safe? Yes, but if there's any question about his safety, he shouldn't be doing it because he's given me enough. He's given the fans enough.
But why do you have to retire him though? Like he can stay out of the ring and not be formally retired. Like like a Fiend versus Undertaker match, I think is interesting enough on its own without the idea of having to formally retire him and make him do
Well,
work.
it's to actually help the Fiend continue to be relevant because he has cooled off quite a bit, in my opinion.
Well, he has, but like, does retirement stipulation need to be a part of it?
I don't think it's going to be a stipulation. I think it's what's going to happen, or it's what I want to happen. So it doesn't need to be built that way, but it's like the Undertaker shows up and says, "I'm unchangeable. The Fiend will rest in peace," and then the Fiend looks in his face, spits in it, destroys him, and ends up changing the Undertaker.
Oh, you're on board with this whole the Fiend changes everyone he beats thing?
Yeah, he's pretty much done that.
Well, yeah, I mean, he has to a degree. I have to imagine. I think it's more of a coincidence than anything, um, but I mean, the proof is in the pudding there. But the idea that it would change the Undertaker, I don't think it would give the Fiend the push that you'd want. That's what I mean. He's already near the top. I just think he needs a good feud, and it'll be fine. I don't think it has to be this one. I guess I'm not saying it can't happen, but my God, I would not want to ever see the Undertaker in WWE not be the Undertaker. I guess other than the American Badass version he did.
I just think that he needs to be able to be done. And like I'm not saying that his relationship with them needs to end or he can stop appearing, but I think it should be the symbol of the end of his in-ring career for the majority of the time.
As long as they never formally say it, and he can come back whenever. I think that's tolerable. of an idea. But like Taker winning the Rumble, like I don't know why you think Taker will even be in the Rumble. I think that's kind of cuckoo. But I guess
It's
it's
because
possible.
I'll tell you exactly why I think it's going to happen, or not why I think it's going to happen, but why I want it to happen is because I really struggle because oftentimes they do things that are not that exciting when they don't have somebody who's super heated up, and that's the major issue I see in this Rumble is that nobody is coming into this thing red hot to where people really want to get behind them. Like last year, you at least had Becky Lynch, who like she was starting to cool off, but she was still like it was still like the we want Becky and Ronda
Yeah.
in the Rumble together. They don't have that in either of the Rumbles right now.
Not really. No, they barely even really talked about the women's one.
And I think that like that could be a good thing because it's supposed to be like the well anybody can win, but if anybody can win but nobody wants anyone to win, that's a major problem for them when they're trying to sell out like an 80,000 person arena.
Absolutely, and that's actually one of the main reasons why I don't think it is going to be Taker because of that point you just said about trying to sell out and everything. I figured they probably would have promoted that. Because that's he's Taker. It would have been kind of fun the idea of knowing that it would be Brock and Taker in the ring to start with. Now it'd be a great surprise if they do it. Again, I think Taker has to be there at 2. And it would be fun if Brock got tossed out right away by Taker.
I mean, so you mentioned Cultaholic before. Their pitch is that John Cena shows up. Not winning the Rumble, but calls out the Fiend after the title match. They just confirmed, by the way, that it's going to be every 90 seconds tonight. But regardless, he calls out Cena. They go to WrestleMania. The Fiend wins. Cena returns as heel Cena. Same basic premise, only Cena comes back and the Undertaker would go away. But
Fiend Cena would be really good. Like I could be down for that. That idea slaps.
I don't know.
I mean, because he's a great opponent. Because it doesn't really matter if Cena wins or loses. He's going to be great no matter what. He can come back later. The Fiend gets a win over a big legend. You could say
the same thing about the Undertaker.
But you're trying to end the Undertaker. We know Cena can come back and recover just fine. And Cena's going to give the Fiend a better match because Taker's old and broken down.
Dude, the Fiend match layout is very easy. You beat the crap out of the Fiend for 15 minutes. He no-sells the whole thing. Then he beats you. The Undertaker can beat the hell out of somebody for 15 minutes.
I don't know. Him and Goldberg, that was pretty rough to watch.
Goldberg in his prime was rough to watch. So
it's fair.
I will respect a lot of people. Goldberg is not one of them.
Yeah, but come on, some of the stuff that happened, like Taker trying to pick up Goldberg and he was dropping him, it's just not going to be as good. He's not what he was, and Cena's not either, but he's better.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to, and I want the Fiend to win. I don't know. Cena, I don't care. He's,
the Fiend would beat the Undertaker too.
He would, but my emotions, the way it's invested, are different. Who gets their win back from who? What? Taker gets his win from who? Or the Fiend gets his win from who?
Yeah, from Taker. Because Bray Wyatt lost to Taker at WrestleMania.
Oh, really? So the spooky torch was not passed at that moment.
Correct. And so now it will be.
I hate the idea that they did all this retirement stuff with Taker for Roman, and then this. I hate that they did that and he kept going. That actually kind of annoys me to this day. And I don't know. I just like the idea when you pitched it and brought up the idea that he's going to be gone and be changed. That's just what drove me nuts. But that's okay. I'm gonna get away from the Taker thing, just because I think we could talk in circles about it since we how we feel about it. I'd rather have the Fiend and Cena though. I think that sounds great. I think it'd be good.
That is fine. As all things are wrong, but we can move on.
All right. So who you think is going to win the men's Royal Rumble? You said is
Roman.
Reigns,
Oh
right?
God, yes.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think that
what percentage would you give it?
I mean, if the odds were good, I would actually probably put money on it.
I thought about doing that today, by the way.
Yeah, I never, other than a friendly bet with you or somebody, I don't do it. But yeah, I feel like unless something at one point I thought that Keith Lee could be the guy who won, and they could build to an NXT winner going on to face the NXT champion, but since he's won the North American title, I just don't think they're going to do it.
No.
So to me, I think it's Roman Reigns because I just don't see them coming up with anything else creative unless there's something coming that they just haven't hinted at all.
Well, I mean, we talked about this kind of in text message a little bit, and I think this would be good. It's not what I expect. I mean, my pick is Drew McIntyre because I think this is their kind of way to catapult a guy I think they've wanted up there for a while. Roman is probably my 2, but I think my 3 is the intriguing idea that Finn Balor wins and he chooses Adam Cole. They need NXT to do well against AEW. I think that's a good idea. Actually, way better than your Fiend Undertaker idea. I like the idea of Undertaker winning and choosing to go for the NXT title. It would give NXT a boost against AEW, and it'd be interesting at least.
Yes, nothing says the future is now like a 60-year-old man with eyeliner on.
I mean, hey, if Adam Cole were to end up beating him, or the Undisputed Era starts beating up the Undertaker, I think that looks interesting.
So we said we would walk away from Taker. So going back to
no, I said we would walk away from your idea of Taker.
Okay, whatever.
I'm talking about my idea of Taker.
Regardless, I'm not gonna... to your point about Finn Balor, I think if he wins, the way that I would do it is have the OC kind of have some join-up moments in the Rumble, and then you have kind of, if he does legit go after Adam Cole, then you have the club Undisputed Era interaction that a lot of people have been desperate for. The weird thing is technically Adam Cole was in the club, but given that they murdered him when he left, he can probably forget about that.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I really want them to formally go after that storyline. I don't know why they haven't yet at this point.
It's because they didn't create it, so they tend to be reluctant to do anything with that.
And it's true, but like they at least created the Undisputed Era. Like they get half of it, and they could even have them going over. Like I don't know. They you know how they did that with the stupid thing at WrestleMania with DX versus the NWO, you know. Yeah. And that, my God, was that stupid? It was like, wait. The NWO was helping Sting. Weren't they main enemies? Like,
well, this is where the NWO storyline dragged on forever because then he was
NWO Black and White,
yeah.
NWO Black and White specifically,
fair,
because it was Hogan, Hall and Nash. It was just stupid, and then I guess the NWO Wolfpack Elite or whatever they were called. I guess they were all in it by the end, or it was the core 4 or 5 people.
Just another thing that Goldberg ruined.
Another thing the Elite stole from WCW. Anyway, I think the idea of Finn Balor would be good. I'm not in love with it, but it would be kind of like a twist that I hadn't really seen coming. This was only brought up again during a podcast. A guy that would be fun to have win it for me. I would really love it if Kevin Owens won because I just wish he was doing more.
He deserves it, but like again, the only way I think that works is if he goes after Brock, because then you kind of get they've never really embraced the whole fight Owens fight or fight Steen fight from his indie days, and like that would work. Is okay, the guy who loves to fight goes up against the unstoppable monster. And, like, I think that works better against Brock than it does against the Fiend, even though, obviously, the Fiend is a monster, too. But I just feel like it could be more vicious and, like, realistic with Brock.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the only way you can go to. Like, the Fiend, you got to be so delicate with. Brock, I mean, we've seen him lose, and he didn't really do anything. Like, that whole, like, when Goldberg was, like, killing him over multiple pay-per-views, it didn't really matter to me. I thought it was cool and it was shocking, but I do think Brock would be the guy that you would most want to put a KO against. And he's so big and athletic that he could realistically be a winning opponent against Brock. And, it makes sense in storyline. So I agree with that. I just wish KO did more.
Yeah, I think the other one that I think they could get an interesting story out of, and we talked about him earlier, is Kofi. So you have Kofi win. We talked about this a long time ago when The Fiend was just starting out and they were doing the Firefly Funhouse, but New Day interacting with that could be really interesting. You could take the Kofi and New Day characters to a very different place. You could do some fun things with puppets. Like, that could be a very interesting story and build to Mania.
Yeah, I mean, basically the New Day's stuff almost looks like the Firefly Funhouse,
Exactly.
except for the evil part of it.
Like it'd be
So they don't have
hysterical
to
to
do
see the
much.
New Day parody the Funhouse.
Oh my god, those promos would be amazing.
Mm.
Absolutely, that'd be so cool. Like, can you imagine the puppets they would have?
Oh yeah.
I think the puppets would be so
And they would have
cool.
to have one that was called like Booty Brock, or
Yeah, that'd be really fun. Or they probably have a puppet of, I don't know what, Francesca.
yeah, number 7 or whatever they're on at this point.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I had to explain the New Day to one of my non-wrestling friends the other day, and it was pretty amazing. I was like, well, they started out kind of as a massive stereotype, and then they just decided they're going to do whatever they want, and it's pretty fascinating.
Those are always the most interesting or entertaining ones to explain to friends that are like
Yeah.
they're like kind of lame to explain, but like everybody loves them. Like
Yeah.
to me, it's the equivalent, and probably in a much cleaner cut way. But if you have to explain Joey Ryan's dick flip to somebody
Oh,
and
I
be
did.
like, yeah, that guy got paid $30 for people to take pictures grabbing it. So,
Absolutely. I love explaining that. I was like, yeah, he had a thing called Joey Ryan's penis party at a show one weekend. Wasn't it like WrestleMania weekend? It was an indie show or
I
something
think
on
it was at one
Saturday.
of the Star casts actually, but
Oh, Starcast. Okay.
uh,
It's like, actually, yeah, Starcast. One of those days, I'll try to go to one of those because that's the only way. That's the only use I have for my Young Bucks Funko Pop figures. I want to get those signed one day, and I'm still considering getting actually a Kenny Omega.
oh, I
That's
have
the only one
mine.
that's hard to find.
I got it at Target. It was really actually like I was like, hey, I wonder if they have it, and they did. But that was back when it came out, so.
Yeah, because I can find the other ones. Well,
Mhm,
I can find them all pretty easily, I guess. But like, I'm finding the other ones kind of on clearance, which
mhm,
happens to a lot of figures, so that's
mhm.
no big deal. But Kenny's the only one. I can find Cody Rhodes. I can find the regular Bucks. But I just need to find.
Oh, I bought it on Hot Topic because it was during one of their holiday sales. So the Young
Yeah.
Bucks were like half off, and so I was like, I mean, I already had Cody at that point, so I was like, may as well complete the set.
Oh, absolutely. I don't see why not. They're so cheap. Whatever. Um, Actually, I want to kind of move on to one of the singles because we have it laid out.
Mhm.
My first pick is Drew McIntyre. Yours is Roman Reigns. And is your second Taker? Or who would kind of your second be for the men's rumble?
Um, Probably. Let me pull up the picture again.
Sure, just to get it clear.
My second would probably be Finn.
Finn's a good. Okay, all right. Your second is my third. Nice.
Mm.
Okay,
And then who are
cool.
your top 3?
My top three go in the order of Drew, Roman, then Finn.
Okay, so I'll go Roman, Finn, and Kofi.
Kofi, I like that. Okay, I'm down with that. I appreciate that neither of us chose Brock because if Brock wins, I'm gonna be furious. And mind you, that is a very realistic possibility because you know how WWE is.
Indeed.
Yeah.
The only way
Okay.
that I would like it is if they then decide to unify the titles and you get Brock versus The Fiend at WrestleMania. And then I guess eventually whoever wins that goes after the NXT title as well.
I'm telling you, my idea for the Fiend belt collector idea, just print money for a whole year. It'd be amazing. Just casually just collecting titles, take Shinsuke's, take Andrade's, take the 24/7.
Well, it could
Just
be
keep
fun.
going.
It'd be a great way to elevate Walter if that's the 4th title that they go after, and then he's the
Yeah.
one who stops it.
That'd be fun if he could set up some kind of ambush with Imperium or something when the
Mm.
Fiend comes to take it, and they just like beat the hell out of him. Now, not permanently, like the lights would turn off and he'd go through the hole in the ring or something, and the Fiend would get away. But that would be cool. I mean, there's got to be some resistance, of course.
Yes.
But it's got to be like the idea of it. I just think it'd be cool.
Oh, dude,
you can set it up.
You could set up Imperium to be the Avengers, essentially.
Well, my idea was like the way the pay-per-views would break down is he would take titles from all these guys, and you could do maybe like a chamber, and it's basically the Fiend and all the people he took titles from, or whatever kind of match you want to have, and basically either be a Mania or a chamber or something. If you beat the Fiend, the stipulation is, of course, Vince McMahon would have to be involved. in this storyline because all of his titles are being taken away, and you know how it is. You know, titles mean everything. Basically, whoever wins basically gets the titles re-released. Essentially, they wouldn't go back to who won, or they won't all go to one person. There'd be tournaments for it. So the Fiend would have to be beaten by like the Avengers, like you said.
Another breaking piece of news.
Whoa.
Roman and Corbin kicking off the show. So it would appear that the men are going to close Mania with that in mind, potentially. Or not Mania, the Rumble.
That would make sense. I mean, I guess break, I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, the first year or 2 years ago, the women closed the Rumble, but that makes sense. I mean, they had the whole Ronda thing, and it was the first one, so I get it. And last year, the men, took over as the last thing. But it does set you up for the Roman win, like you were talking about. So I think that's correct.
Well, and you mentioned the Ronda thing. There's outside speculation that she might be there tonight.
Oh, I totally think she's coming back.
I mean, it's the only one. I don't know if we want to transition to this, but if we want to talk about the singles first. But
I do want to pepper in a single or two, and then maybe we'll talk with the women's one. So hold that thought for a hot second.
Gotcha.
Okay, so for the actual Roman and Corbin thing, I think we already kind of gave our answers on this one, but I'm kind of curious. So you just first, who do you think is winning, Roman or Corbin?
Corbin.
Perfect. Okay, so do I. But the reason, I'll tell you an explanation for mine and see if you happen to match. If not, we'll vary. I think Corbin wins, because it's Falls Count Anywhere. I think, goons are going to help him out. Roman's going to do well. It's going to look like he's going to win, but because they kind of count anywhere, he's going to do something super heely. And, like you said, there's a lot of time in between Mania and now where Roman could win the Rumble, but he could finish this feud and then transition to the next one very well. So that's why I have him losing this one to Corbin.
Similar. I think it helps Corbin in the long run, who they are just really invested in, and I'm happy to see them actually investing in someone. I think Corbin. So this is the dog food stipulation is a part of this match, correct?
The dog food stipulation.
The loser's supposed to eat dog food.
Oh, that's let me look. How could I ever miss that?
Exactly.
And I don't think so. I don't see anything for that, but I mean, I'm sure they're probably going to introduce it somehow anyway.
Let me double check it myself, but I think that whatever happens, they can present the story and do a promo with Roman Reigns behind the scenes of him saying like, okay, you crossed the line, and then you get the fiery babyface who uses whatever happens as his motivation to just run roughshod during the Rumble.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm just looking up that thing as well. I don't see anything about dog food, but I guess it could have been. I don't know.
Oh, I guess that might have been well, they've been doing it on the house show circuit. Excuse me. I think
could have been the tag match on SmackDown.
Yeah, I think that they did it on SmackDown recently. So yeah, maybe. That was on December 27th. So my bad.
Oh, okay. And whatever. It's all good. All right. One that I think is actually pretty quick here, because we both have Corbin winning. For the Raw Women's Championship, Becky Lynch versus Asuka. Actually, I'll just have you kind of take the floor on what you think on this match first.
So I'm going to pitch you what I think is going to happen and what I want to have happen. So right. I think Becky Lynch wins. I think that they want her in the title match. That being said, I think Asuka should actually win. And I would have Shayna Baszler get involved in the match, cost Becky. That way they can spiral off into a singles match at Mania. And then, and I did this for one of our other videos, I would have Asuka at some point basically jump Kairi Sane, turning her back face. Maybe Kairi did something wrong during the match, and in Asuka celebration, she's like, screw you. Then you send Kairi Sane into the Rumble, or you have Io Shirai in the Rumble, and I would actually prefer Io Shirai to win, have her come in as this tweener and say, that's still my friend and I'm coming for you. So that's what I would do. And that way you can feed the folks who are supposedly being rumored that Stardom really wants them to the main roster and big storylines to show them that WWE wants them to stay.
I have to say there could be a potential wrench in that whole thing, and it bothers me to say it. I heard that Io Shirai may be out for a couple weeks.
I was not aware
with injury. Well, that's only what I read from a not super amazing source, so that could be wrong. Because for me, going into this, for sure, I fully believed that you're going to have a situation where you're going to have in the at least the women's Royal Rumble, you're going to have Kairi Sane in there, and then Io Shirai is going to come in, and you're going to have those two have like a face off, and likely where they'll probably help each other actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking forward to that. If she's injured, we won't get to see it, but so I think yours makes sense if she's healthy and everything, but that could be a problem.
Absolutely.
I do think Becky Lynch is going to win as well. I actually think it's clear she's going to win. I don't think this may be the worst odds I've ever seen for Asuka winning, especially because she has the tag title with Kyrie. So I don't see it happening. Plus, I think Becky, even though I think she's been kind of lackluster lately, although a lot of the women have, I think she needs the title until Mania. It works into my Royal Rumble prediction. She would need to have it in order for the winner to have a big win. So I got to that's why I need her to have it. Asuka, the idea of Asuka and Kyrie kind of having that turn would be kind of cool, or Kyrie having the turn because Asuka like freaked out on her. I like that because Kyrie is super face, whereas Asuka can play heel pretty well. And that would be a good Mania match right there that you could build up to.
Not to cut you off, but Kofi just cut a promo talking about how if one of the New Day wins, they all win. So not exactly what we wanted, but something.
No, I mean, that sounds pretty standard New Day stuff, I guess. It's like, well, what's new? When they had the tag titles, all three of them had the tag titles. Well, that sounds about right. Okay, so that's good to know. So basically, overall, I think Becky wins. I think Becky needs to win. And if Asuka does the turn on Kyrie, which I actually don't think will happen, I wouldn't mind it. That'd be cool, and it would set up a good Mania match eventually. But
honestly, the reason why I'm pushing it is just that Kairi Sane is really miscast as a heel. It doesn't really work. Asuka can make it work, but Kairi is so natural as a babyface that I think that they need to get her back there quickly.
It's true. Best elbow in the business. I love it. All right, so we're nailed on that one, and we'll just move on to the men's match here. So the Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan.
The Fiend, nothing interesting. It's a strap match. I'm sure Daniel Bryan will make it worth watching, and the Fiend will do what he does. But there's no way the Fiend is losing.
No, no way. And I've heard people go like, "Oh, I can't get out of my head the idea that Daniel Bryan is going to win," but you better get out of your head because it's just not going to happen. Yeah. The Fiend's not going to lose in this match. Daniel Bryan will make it really good. We've seen these two go at it before when he was just plain old Bray Wyatt, the creepy guy from the New Orleans area, and it was pretty good. This one is just no way. I'm still a little mixed up about how I feel about Daniel Bryan with short hair again. I don't know how I feel.
Well, apparently, and I don't know for sure, but I heard this, that they had, when they did the whole gimmick where he was dragged down under the ring and his hair came off, they actually had people under the ring to shave it really quickly. I don't know if I buy that or not, but apparently they cut it too far. He didn't want to cut it that short, and at that point, once you make the one mistake cut, you're like, well, that's going to be how long everything is.
I have to admit, I fully believe that's what happened. I mean, because if you're doing it that quickly, and it's probably dark down there, but it is kind of weird that he would cut his whole hair and everything and his beard just for that. But
it's almost like the Fiend changes everyone he wrestles.
Oh yeah, that's not tied into earlier comment at all. Yeah, fun stuff. But yes, the Fiend is going to win. I don't think this is worth too much talking about, truthfully, past that, because it's going to happen. Okay, so that actually the SmackDown Women's Championship, which I think is a little bit more interesting than the other ones, between Bayley going in as champion, Bad News Bayley versus Lacey Evans. What do you think, Pavin?
It's hard because I would not have anticipated them to do what they've done with Lacey Evans, but I'm still going to say Bayley. I think that we're finally going to get Sasha and Bayley at WrestleMania in a big moment. So I'm going to say Bayley, but, I'm impressed with how far Lacey has come in a short period of time.
So am I. And Lacey's a person that I pushed. Several times I said she was going to win the title from Becky. I think that was the only thing I got wrong at Extreme Rules this past year. I was like, oh yeah. I think she should definitely get the title from Becky. Although I guess that would have meant Corbin would have been world championship too. But whatever. Yeah, I think she's done a great job. I mean, she is a character that you could really love and hate pretty easily. I mean, now they're pushing her military service a lot in real life to make you love her even more. I think that's gone really well. Bailey's doing all right as a heel, I think. Unfortunately, that means, like you were just kind of talking about with Sasha. Sasha's kind of had to take a back seat, which is a shame because Sasha is better than Bailey to me. And that's why I'm actually hoping some of that ties in with the Rumble. But I think Bailey has to win. Like you said, if you're going to get Sasha, who's definitely a contender to win the Rumble, choosing to go against Bailey. And Sasha getting a long title run would be awesome, which she's needed for a while. She's had the title several times, but not for a very long time.
Indeed.
I think Bailey's had it longer this past go than Sasha ever had.
Well, I would say I think Bailey's held the women's title twice at the main roster level, and I think those two probably surpass. I think Sasha's either 3 or 4.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Well, I say for this one, I'm gonna go with Bailey, even though I want Lacey Evans to win because there is not really any title changes. That's really what kind of gets me from this whole setup. That's why I would really like Lacey to win. That's probably the one where it's most likely where there's going to be a title change. I know we were going over Humberto and Andrade, but going into the match, I was pretty confident Andrade was going to retain anyway.
Indeed.
So that didn't really affect too much. This one is probably the one where the title change is most likely to happen, though.
Agreed. None of that. I mean, like, I think you're right. I think that's one of the challenges of this card is outside of the Rumble matches, it's pretty boilerplate with not a lot of surprises or excitement in terms of the championship matches. Or even like all of the matches.
I'm actually really surprised there's no tag title match tonight.
Well, I mean, Seth and Buddy just won the Raw titles on Raw, so there wasn't probably enough time to build something. And they weren't going to put them on the pre-show with Seth being in it. The SmackDown Tag Team Champions are the New Day, and they're in the Rumble, so that ain't going to happen.
But they could have.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They could have done something, but they just probably haven't focused on it. And your women's tag team championships, Asuka's in the main event with Becky, so you can't really do her double duty unless you're willing, which they're probably not. So
no, and she'll probably be in the Rumble too. So
yeah, I mean, maybe you never know with them. They do sometimes. It's like if you're in a match, you're not in the Rumble, and other times it's like, yeah, go ahead. So.
Oh, I'm kind of curious because they've only actually announced like 7 or 8 women.
Well, then there's a lot of rumors of legends being in town. They are right where the Undertaker and Michelle McCool live, and Michelle McCool does have the record for most eliminations in a Rumble.
That's true. I learned that from Cultaholic.
Yeah, granted that I hope that's broken tonight, but
that'd be cool because that's a weird person to maintain.
Agreed. I think Nia comes back tonight too.
Ugh. See, I mean, it'd be cool to have Nia back. I suppose I don't really care about Nia.
Well, I think you just bring her back and have her set the record and then get her eliminated. I don't think that she'll be in the match when it matters, but I think that you could build her up again because it's been a while and you need to kind of remind people that she's the unstoppable force type thing.
Yeah, I could deal with that. Actually, funny. So now we can talk about the Women's Royal Rumble, which is the last match. There's only 7 people here that are announced for it: Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, Sarah Logan, Natalya, Carmella, and Dana Brooke. Those are the ones who are announced for it formally, and I got to tell you, that's not a great roster to look at. It's really bad. Like Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss are the only ones I care about. Carmella, if she does a dance break, maybe. Otherwise, I just don't care. So there's a lot of potential for returns for NXT folks. Myself, I mean, I have my winner coming from NXT, so I don't want to say that quite yet. I do think Ronda's going to return, though. I'm thinking it.
I mean, I think if Ronda returns, she wins, but I just can't. I can't really commit to that, but I would be on board with it happening, especially because you have a built-in story because of kind of the botch last year of Becky's shoulder popping up, and you can just say, "You never really beat me."
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. The ref,
and you can then pull in the UFC history, and Becky can be like, "Well, Holly Holmes did, and then she did it again, just like I'm gonna do." So yeah.
See, Ronda plays directly into a storyline for my winner, of course, but I'm going to try to hold off on that a little bit more. I'll just say that we'll probably have Michelle McCool in there, like you said, because of the location. I assume Zelina Vega will be back.
Maybe another Vicky, because I think she's from the El Paso area, which not immediately adjacent, but planes do exist. Beth
enough,
Phoenix has been rumored pretty heavily.
Especially with Edge returning.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah. I mean, of course, there's some people on the roster that haven't really been, talked about in a long time. The one that I'd be most looking forward to returning, that's been away for a while, that I would hope makes noise, is Ruby Riott.
Oh yeah, I think that she's definitely, and I don't know exactly what she'll accomplish in there, but you would hope that she gets a good run. Never has really gotten the push that she deserves for the talent that she possesses.
Absolutely. And she had this faction named after her, but it was a terrible faction.
Agreed.
Like, I just hope she tosses the faction out. Like, I hope she goes in.
I don't know. I think Liv and Lana need to just go ape shit. And, like, it's not even about the Rumble. They're just beating the hell out of each other everywhere. In and out of the ring. I'm cool with that. Also, we didn't talk about this in the men's Rumble, but I fully expect there to be one or two 24/7 title changes in that match.
I hope so. Oh my God. How fun would that be? Mm-hmm. I mean, I like the idea of Brock Lesnar becoming champion at some point.
I do want them at some point to have like a legit badass win that, to where it's like the gimmick to this point has been like just figure out when they're vulnerable, but somebody who they're like, you know what? Maybe I'll come back next week.
I just want to see R-Truth try to pin a Brock Lesnar, or I don't know, somebody legitimate.
Apparently, he said he guaranteed that he would eliminate Paul Heyman from the Royal Rumble on Monday. So,
who did Truth?
Yes.
Truth is a gift that keeps on giving. I tell you, I just love the idea of like a sleeping Brock Lesnar, and he just puts like one finger on Brock while he's sleeping, and they count it, and he runs. Like, I just love that idea.
I just want for that to work, I want them to go to like the Lesnar family compound, and like they're sleeping in bed. You got Reno next to him, and like just nothing but like deer antlers all over the room.
Absolutely, because they need to do more stuff like that.
Yeah, they have this license to do that with the 24/7 title, but they just don't.
No, ever since Drake Maverick hasn't had it, they kind of stopped.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, because kind of with that title, I think the more absurd, the better.
Well, yeah, it's like, so I've been thinking about making this argument that in some ways the Attitude Era is back in wrestling right now, and we're kind of experiencing another golden era. But I think that this is a classic, like the 24/7 title is a classic example of like, people don't want to see like the raunchy sex or like some of the stuff that everybody equates with the Attitude Era. They want to see badasses, and they want to see things that are outside the box. And that title in particular gives them the opportunity to do a lot of outside the box stuff. They just have to commit to it.
Absolutely. I mean, they're not exactly doing a live sex celebration, but they're getting there with Drake Maverick. That was pretty fun. But I could see a 24/7 change, which I would love. I think that'd be really cool, actually. Just to spice it up a little bit. And R-Truth, man, like I think R-Truth should be the longest reigning 24/7 champion when it's all said and done, because he's so funny.
Yeah, but it should be like the longest reigning, but like average out his reigns to where they're like 45 minutes. Mm. So he's held the title like 600 times, and that's why he has the record.
And that was actually a brilliant invention. I think the title's still stupid looking, but it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's a hideous title.
Hideous. At least it's different colored so that it kind of stands out a little bit. Yeah, because we really didn't talk. I guess we could skip back if there's major returns, but we really talked about Edge, we talked about Taker, we talked about Cena. Or no, we didn't talk about Cena coming back to the Rumble, right?
Yeah.
Or did we?
No, we talked to Cultaholic's pick. This was Ross, who wanted the Undertaker, or not the Undertaker, John Cena to come out at the end of the Fiend match and attack him. Match. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. That's good because I wouldn't want Cena in the Rumble. I mean, he could if you needed someone to get rid of Brock, but the whole Brock stipulation I thought it only was gonna it has to mean something significant.
Well, I think that what it really means is that Cain Velasquez is going to be in the Rumble. That's really where they're going, I think. But I'm just hoping
he's definitely
going to
be in the Rumble.
Yeah,
it's going to happen, and it sucks.
I'm aware. They don't book for me, Kevin. That's why I come up with ideas I like better.
That's fair. I mean, the Cain Velasquez thing, I got to be honest, I don't even know who he is, but I don't watch UFC.
I mean, this is the thing. He legit looks like a killer, but just because you legit look in the world of pro wrestling, that makes you like Lars Sullivan. You got to do something for me to care.
Oh, good old Lars Sullivan. That guy. What a legend.
Indeed.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. So, by the way, the show has already kicked off, and right now it's Corbin versus Reigns, and for a second they got me. I was like, wow, this is way too early for Reigns to lose, but I had a second there. It was a deep six. Anyway, back to the women's Rumble because we actually did kind of.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just wanted to jump back to the 24/7
that was my fault.
title.
No, it was my fault. I brought it back too. So the women's one, there's a million people that'll probably be in it that aren't announced. I mean, let's just say our favorites to win it and kind of get out of the way. Maybe we'll even rank them, but
yeah. So
I'll say.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You can go ahead.
My top one is Shayna Baszler. I think they telegraphed this, and it's a matter of do they go the route that they think everybody knows they're going, or do they want to throw some wrenches into it? But got to be the odds-on favorite. The other thing that I really want to see them do is, so they're going to have a lot of open slots. And when they first did it the first year, they brought a lot of legends back, which was great. But I think that last year they did a better job of incorporating NXT talent in. I would want to see an even split of legends and NXT talent because they have a lot of talent on the NXT roster with women who deserve to get a rub for being in the match. So.
Oh, for sure. And Io is one of the main people, but again, if she's hurt, she's not going to be up there. But definitely my thought is also Shayna Baszler as the winner. It only makes sense. I mean, her going against Becky would be really good. But I could even see a scenario where Ronda comes in earlier and is killing people and Shayna knocks her out, and Shayna ends up winning, and that could be Shayna and Ronda's feud in the meantime.
Oh, yeah.
Shayna could lose that feud.
They team up for a moment and do the whole 4 horsewoman pose, and then Shayna chucks her.
Exactly. And Shayna will still have her title shot against Becky. Ronda will have some huge feud, whatever it is, come WrestleMania.
Well, actually, that would make it interesting if so you get Shayna versus Becky and then Ronda gets added. And so Ronda's whole point is well, you did this to me last year. Then you can sell the idea of Becky having impossible odds because if those two team up, it's going to kill Becky. And then when you get there, they work together maybe for the first 5 minutes. And then they realize, well, at some point, one of us has got to win. So.
No, that's a good kind of addition to the idea that I didn't toss in there. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd be all for that kind of match anyway. Because Ronda, initially, I wasn't as wild about Ronda, but she impressed me with her run, when she was around the first time around.
Agreed.
So I'm sure she'll be able to do it again because I don't think she got, from what I remember, she left to get pregnant, but she didn't get pregnant.
Correct.
So she's still be in good shape.
Her pregnation vacation failed.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that King Ross or?
Well,
Prince
apparently
Ross
that's what she actually was calling it. Not to make light of it, but yeah, that's what she was calling it.
No, I mean, that's okay.
I genuinely wish her luck having a child. It is a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah, if you ever want to, if you want to have a baby, go have a baby. I'm happy for you. But, since it didn't happen, that's okay. We'll just reap the benefits of the great physical shape you're in and the time you have in order to have a good storyline.
So
Um,
here's the other piece that's interesting. So they didn't really build
yeah,
to this match. The only promo that I recall is Charlotte on Monday saying, "I'm going to win the Rumble because it's the only thing I
that's it.
haven't done and it's what I do." And even though I don't think that's going to happen with Charlotte, you kind of always have to be prepared for there's a chance she can either win the championship or do something crazy because that's what Charlotte
Yeah,
does. But my number 2 pick is Sasha, actually. Um, I think
it's a good number
one
2 pick.
of the if so I think that for me the women's product has been the thing that has kept me interested the last couple of years. I think the
Hmm.
one disservice of them having all of the talent they do is that Sasha Banks has gotten lost in it occasionally. Obviously, she took some time away after WrestleMania last year, but to me, she is the most talented all around of all of the Four Horsemen from NXT and Four Horsewomen, I should say. And so I think that this is an opportunity, like I said, to get to that Bayley Sasha match at WrestleMania. So she's my number 2.
That's a huge opportunity to get to that match, and I really hope they take it. But kind of my biggest problem is I mean, you could do a match with both of them as heels, I guess, but I really want Sasha to be a heel, and I like Bayley as a heel. So I that's where I think it falls
Well,
apart.
I think one
But
of them will turn in the process of it. I think it's
but that's what I
more,
mean. I
yeah,
hate that.
it's more likely that I think it would actually be Bayley staying heel and Sasha playing the role of the tweener. But you're right that it does present an issue. But I think that they would be willing to turn Sasha a bit to make it work.
See, like Sasha's who I hope would win, so she'd be my number 2.
Mm-hmm.
But really, my actual number 2, based on who I think is realistically going to win, I mean, you already touched on, is Charlotte. I just see them kind of giving it to her for a Rumble that they didn't really build all that much. Charlotte's a safe pick. You can add to her accolades. She's going to have a good match against whoever she's in there against. She's my realistic number 2. But I think it's so obvious that Shayna Baszler's number 1. It's not even a big deal.
The only way I would
Who's
be
your number
down with
2?
the Charlotte win is if she goes after Rhea Ripley, which would be epic.
That would be so cool.
Because everybody says that Rhea is basically based on the archetype of Charlotte Flair, not necessarily character, but in terms of her physicality and everything she can do. And so that would be amazing. And you may have just made me be a fan of that, which I was not anticipating.
Wait, hold on. Well, actually, I'm a bigger fan of it now. I'm starting to think I wish I had that more.
Well, we talked about it that either we want somebody from the NXT roster to win or somebody from the other 2 brands to win and choose an NXT champion. So we may have just pitched something that could work there.
I agree. And really, I think we really can't undersell the idea that WWE is going to use the Royal Rumble to set up something to make NXT better when it's NXT versus AEW.
Oh, yeah. And
even if AEW doesn't see it as a war, which, I mean, I think it's a lie, but even if they don't, WWE definitely does.
You have a chance to
they're
draw
going to try to
eyeballs
position themselves.
to Wednesday. And
absolutely.
Basically, the last 3 weeks, it's been about 300,000 to 200,000 difference between the 2 products. You use one of the signature events that everybody loves to put eyeballs on Wednesday night, and eventually maybe you can turn the tide. Candidly, I don't think it will work even if they do it, but I think it's the smart move, particularly if you're trying to position it as truly a third brand on equal footing, which they tried to do with Survivor Series, and so they would continue that build.
For sure, because I think at this point, even if Shayna Baszler wins, she could go up against Becky. That's true. She would have the guaranteed title shot. But she could probably get that anyway if you just, have her come up there and slaughter a few people. This is just a good catapult for NXT, like a good gimmick for them to have the attempt at a leg up on AEW. I would love the idea, even if it wasn't Charlotte, even if it was Sasha Banks.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably have her go down there and be the heel to Rhea Ripley, and it would still be really good. You have the nostalgia of how good Sasha was down there as well.
Well, what's crazy is I prefer Sasha to Charlotte, but if it's actually going to be somebody calling out Rhea, I would totally prefer to see Charlotte because I think that the match would be better between those two.
I think they'd both be really good. So I have to admit, I can't even be picky about it. Um, the only reason why I like it is it gives Sasha something to do. Charlotte will probably be fine wherever. It gives Sasha something really cool to do. She'd be going for a title. She could be a really good heel to Rhea. So could Charlotte as well. But you wouldn't have to bite on the best friends turning on each other thing yet. I don't know. Honestly, either one of them would be really good. As long as Shayna Baszler goes up and one of those people, one of those women goes against Ripley for the title. Honestly, win or lose, I don't want Rhea Ripley to lose, but that's just, I think that's money. That idea that the women's winner will just go against Rhea Ripley for the title. I think we stumbled on something there.
Well, yeah. The interesting thing is if it's Shayna, what does she do? Because obviously there's been this Becky Lynch thing planted, but Rhea's the one who took her title and ended her reign, so you could really milk that.
You could, but I think they've moved on. I don't know. It'd be kind of weird to go back to it.
I mean, I agree. I think that she would go for Becky, but I think that they could get a couple weeks out of her making her decision. And there's nothing saying you have to decide immediately. So,
No, God, I'm just thinking about when Asuka won the Rumble and Ronda came out and spoiled that celebration. That drove me nuts.
Well, that brings me to my number 3 pick, Ronda.
Ronda's a good number 3.
Even though we've made a very compelling pitch for Charlotte, which I was not anticipating, I'm going to go with even though she's not announced, I think that if she's in it, she's winning it. So I'd rather be safe than not mention her name.
Oh, I just want to throw out there real quick. First of all, I think your comment is pretty dead on. I'm not so sure if Ronda's in it, she's going to win, though. I have her losing even if she is in. But right now, the Romans Corbin match, obviously they're all over the stadium, and Ziggler and good old glorious Bobby Roode are beating up Roman. Inevitably, we all knew it was going to happen, though. So anyway, back to that. Yeah, the Charlotte thing, even though I did have as my number 2, actually, you ended up helping sell it to me better than I even thought it was. So, here come the Usos helping out Roman, as always. Anyway, but that's just so brilliant. One of these titles definitely has to be won. And you talked about the idea of Shayna winning and milking it. I think it's so much more shocking and a better milking device if like a Sasha or a Charlotte wins, and it's obvious to most fans, or at least casual fans, are like, okay, well, you either got to choose Becky or Bayley, and then all of a sudden she goes, I'm choosing Rhea, and I'd be like, yo,
well,
what? But if you have
what
Shayna
you
Baszler,
do though is for full impact, you have check in on Monday to find out, and then they say, well, I'm not going to tell you yet, and so the thought is, okay, well, they'll tell you on SmackDown, and then on Wednesday night their music hits at NXT, and they're
Absolutely.
like, this is my championship of choice, so that you immediately get the, oh crap, I got to start watching NXT because I want to see what they're going to do.
Absolutely. I was in my thoughts when I had it kind of laid out was they would come and they would just flat out ambush Rhea Ripley after a match, and they would get on the mic and said, I've made my choice, drop it and get out of there. But either way, I think it's totally money. If they don't go with that, I'm going to be kind of disappointed at this point, actually. Like the men, I would love if Adam Cole was challenged, but like Finn Balor can still do that anyway if they just, do it right. It doesn't have to be the case. You can have someone else go down there, but just the shock of one of the women doing it, I think, would be best for the NXT one, at least. And no one really cares about the NXT UK title. That's not even a question.
Which is a shame because Walter's really good.
Well, that's okay. I mean, that's good, but it's like
it's definitely like number 4. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, of the men's ones,
yeah,
it's God. If you put it all together, it's for me, it's like 8th, 9th, something like that. Yeah. So okay. So it looks like I think my third one. Oh, hold on. I didn't say my third one, but Ronda's up there, but I don't think she's gonna win. So my third one actually has to be Sasha.
Gotcha.
So it's gonna go Shayna, Charlotte, and then Sasha. And yours was Shayna, Sasha, and then Ronda,
Correct.
right?
And right. I will say this is not in my top 3, but another way for them to do this NXT focus would be for Dakota Kai to win.
Dakota Kai.
Which is
She's actually a really good
absolutely
one to have in the
insane
Rumble.
because I despised her until this heel turn, and now I think she's fascinating. So I don't like.
Yeah.
Well
Actually,
done.
I really like Dakota Kai's theme. That's what I always had for her. But the heel turn's been very good though. From the what pay-per-view was that where all three brands were against each other
Survivor Series,
recently?
but her turn was during War Games.
Yeah. Because I was thinking around that time, because she beat up Candice LeRae. Was that it?
Well, she beat up Candice LeRae after she beat up Tegan Knox. Those have been the two that she's really picked on, so to speak, that I recall. But I am not a fully regular NXT watcher, so I may have missed something.
No. Yeah, it was. I think it was on an episode of NXT, just weekly NXT. That it happened, but I can't recall. It
I
was a
think it
couple
was
months
right
ago, like
after
2-3 months ago.
like it was supposed to be a match, and she just jumped and beat the hell out of Candice LeRae.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think
For
she
some
may
reason, I
have
remember
used the
getting beaten up in a
brace.
cage.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Wow. See, when I think of getting beaten up with a brace, I instantly think of Johnny Gargano and what's his
Ciampa.
Ciampa. Yeah, or I like to call him Ciampa because it reminds me of the character from Dragon Ball Z. But Ciampa, yeah, DIY had a match last night. I didn't really get to watch most of the Worlds Collide, but I'm gonna go back and
I
watch it.
did today. I would say I think that was the best match of the night. Imperium versus
That's not
Undisputed
surprising.
Era was good as well. Full disclosure, I didn't get to focus on it as much because my daughter was running around, but that one was good too. But I think the DIY versus Mustache Mountain was the match of the night.
That's not surprising, especially when a guy like Tyler Bate
Mm.
is in there, and of course you have those two, which are amazing. So that's not very surprising. All right, so I think we actually got our predictions in there. It was a lengthy thing, but it's fun to kind of talk out. Again, at this point, I'm going to be really upset if they don't do someone choosing the NXT title. I mean, it's just this. It's it's the best for business move for WWE if they really are going to compete with AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if they don't, I'm going to be
I
pissed.
don't know if you're at the same part on the stream at this point, but Roman just opened up a porta potty.
I'm past that.
Okay. I don't know why yours keeps jumping so far ahead of mine. Maybe your Wi-Fi is faster than mine is.
I don't know. That could be the case. I'm not sure. Maybe I just found a feed later than yours, and I don't know. I don't know. Which we are totally not illegally streaming. We are legally streaming on the WWE network for $9.99.
Indeed.
Yeah, we would never do that. But it looks like right now it's going as it is. It's actually not bad. Roman Corbin, it's kind of what you expect. I'm really glad that King Corbin is King Corbin. Like, that was the best King of the Ring winner they could have picked, probably.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's one of those things that's like it's a tradition that has kind of overstayed its welcome, but I think this was the best they could do with it this year for sure.
Yeah, and like, it's a guy that, and we talked about this right around that time. Someone's like, "Oh God, I would hate to see Corbin as king," and I was like, "That's why he should win, because you would be so annoyed that he's king."
Mm-hmm.
Like, say what you want about Corbin, people just don't like him. He's just the heat generator. Whether it be like, I know there's a difference between I'm just bored by you heat, but like, part of it is people genuinely are just mad. Like when he did what was it, the deep six to Becky at Extreme Rules or whatever,
Yeah.
people are just like, yo.
That was back when he
fair,
was in his Applebee's manager phase, though. And it was like,
Yeah,
not only did I deep six Becky Lynch, you're not getting the discount on your mozzarella sticks. And people were
actually,
livid.
I would love some Applebee's right now. I'm actively thinking what I'm going to get for food when we get off this podcast, so I can
actually had
eat
mozzarella sticks before we started talking.
Really?
Yes.
No wonder why you're so energetic right now.
Well, I got mozzarella sticks and pepperoni rolls, so it was a good night.
Pepperoni rolls. Jeez Louise. I got nothing over it. Maybe I do have a reheatable pizza. Maybe I'll just make that. Actually, that's a good plan. Good job, Kevin. No, lies. I'm just going to go to Wawa. Perfect. Good post podcast meal. All right. So that's going to end the predictions. Of course, check out some other videos on the channel whenever you have a chance. We're going to be posting some kind of random things, probably a lot of smaller videos, just kind of giving hot takes or updates on news and everything. And I'm even hoping at some point we're going to start posting videos separately so much that Puvin's going to give his take on something. I'm going to completely disagree, and I'm just going to make a counter video basically tearing it apart on the same channel.
Well, yeah, I did. I get
Whoa.
these
Okay.
periods of great activity, so I dropped 4 this week. So I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
trying up with it.
My feed has the winner of the match.
Wait, say that again.
The match is over on my feed, just to throw it out
Oh,
there.
okay. I'm. They're on the dugout right now for me, so I don't. I think I'm like a minute behind yours.
Which I got to tell you, they should stop drawing attention to the fact that they're in the cheating Astros stadium.
I think
Okay?
that I was going to say that they should make some allusion to it, except for the fact that they're in Houston, so the crowd would be really pissy about it. But it'd
Oh,
be a great
absolutely.
way to get heel heat. Like, at
Do
some
you
point
think
during the
Elias?
Rumble, you get one of the heels out there and, like, pretend that they have a vibrating patch to, like, cue who's coming into the Rumble. Ugh.
I think that'd be cool if you did that with Heyman and Lesnar, giving Lesnar the heads up. Or
It's a
Elias.
PED, a performance enhancing device for Brock Lesnar. This is why he can't go back to UFC.
I think it'd be kind of cool. But like, if you're not gonna do something like that, just stop mentioning that's freaking Astros. Everyone knows they cheated. But I'm gonna. All right, but that's it. Thank you for listening. Have fun. Bye.